Hello and welcome to the module How to Pick a Skill. So if you join the program and you're still unsure what sort of skill and service you want to provide, or if you just want to double check that the skill that you have and the service you want to provide is a good one for you, we'll go through this video. And by the end of this, you'll be very, very clear with the service that you'll provide for your agency. And then we can obviously move ahead with picking a niche, creating an offer, and obviously building out the outreach systems to get you clients. But to start with, we're really focusing today on what service to sell with our agency. In order to sell a service, we need a skill to sell first. We actually need to build a skill set. So for me, my agency helps businesses with social media. But in order to do that, I had to have the skill of video editing and understanding content strategy. So that's why we really focus on what skill and service we can provide. And note that you do not need to be an absolute expert at this skill. It can be a skill you've already done in your job, or it can be just a skill you're willing to learn. When I started my skill, I was a plasterer, and I just was willing to learn to social media to then provide it as a service. But you do not need to be an expert. What you realize with a lot of the people I've met in Bali and other places around the world, people doing like 300K a month, even those I wouldn't even say are experts. Everyone is figuring it out, everyone is learning along the way, and it doesn't matter how high up you are, there's always more to learn, and a lot of people are just kind of doing their best, and no one is an expert in a specific skill. So if a business is a 1 out of 10 in terms of their social media, if you're a 4 out of 10, you can give a lot of one-to-one time, you're going to improve their social media. So yeah, from this skill, we'll create a service to provide which will sell in exchange for money. So what is an online skill and service? An online skill and service is a specific repeatable ability that one, solves a clear problem for a business or individual. 2, can be delivered remotely. We don't want to be stuck in the UK. You can do it from anywhere. And 3, and most importantly, has an obvious outcome. This obvious outcome, it could be increasing their revenue, it could be generating more leads, it could be generating more sales, it could be converting their sales more efficiently or converting from their website more efficiently. It could be growth, so this could be social media growth, this could be personal growth. It could be time or money saved, so it's not always increasing their revenue or increasing their sales. You could be saving costs, you could be saving time with stuff like systems or AI systems. And when you speak to these businesses or individuals, they should be able to clearly understand what you do, who it's for, and why is it valuable. If you do not have a skill that is clearly tied to an outcome, it makes it so hard to sell. Because people buy for an outcome. They don't buy for the process, they buy for an outcome. So when I sell my service of social media and ads, people don't really care that I post for them 5 times a week. They don't really care that I do Instagram stories. They don't really care with how I edit the videos. What they care about is I'm increasing brand awareness. I'm getting the right customers to see their product, and therefore it generates them more sales. So it's tied with my offer and with my how I sell it. I really focus on the outcome I can get them. I don't concentrate on the other stuff, which is like, oh, I post 5 videos a week. It's something that I might mention really far down the line, but I'm really focused on the outcome that I can get them. And also in terms of solves a clear problem, this is really important as well. And the bigger the problem and the quicker you can solve it, the more you get paid and the easier it is to sell. It's called a thing called a bleeding neck problem. So it's something that's literally in the literal concept. Let's say I was outside and I broke my leg and someone's like, oh, it's 10 grand to take you to hospital and fix it. I'll be like, yeah, quickly take me to hospital. Because I had a really, really big problem or a bleeding neck problem. Like if you're about to die, you're like, yeah, I'll pay any money to get this solved because I need it solved. Whereas if I stub my toe and my toe might be broken, it's like, I might pay £100 to go to hospital and fix it, but probably heal itself in a couple of weeks. Can you see the difference? And what you can have is this with your service. You can have like something that's just a nice to have, like something like branding maybe, or logo design. So like, it'd be nice if my logo looked a little better, but it's not something urgent. It's not something I want to pay big money for. But if my business was going downhill because we couldn't get sales and someone said, I will run ads and we're going to increase this to save your business, that's a bleeding net problem. If I do not solve this in the next 3 months, my business is going under. That's a bleeding net problem. So they're the problems that you want to get as close to and the ones you want to solve. So what makes a skill actually sellable? You want it very simple to explain. You want the prospect to really understand what you do, why it works, and simplicity scales. When you're starting out, especially if you're starting out with not no skill set, but no online skill set that you're very clear with, do not try and do social media ads, email marketing, website design. Focus on one. Solve one very specific problem, and then you can layer up and increase your skill set. But to really start with, you don't want a very confusing service or a confusing offer. You don't want to say, oh, we do website design, ads, social media, everything. You want to be like, I come inside your business and all I do is ads, and this is why it works. Because then it's very, very clear. You want it easy for the business owner to see the value. So, okay, if they run ads, this makes me more money. Or if they do that, if they build AI systems, this saves me time. You want the prospect or the client to need it repeatedly. So every month, every week, or ongoing. It just means that you'll then get paid monthly rather than a one-off. For like a one-off is then constantly every month you're trying to get all of these one-offs. Whereas if you can get client on a 6-month contract, it's a lot easier. You then know what your income is for 6 months through that client. And also services are already being paid for. If people are hiring it on job board or agencies are already selling it, that's a green flag. People are already paying for it. So it's going to be something other people are going to pay for as well. And that's why we really focus on like core proven services. So here I've got an example of, so you can click on this and it'll take you to here. Just loads of different types of skills that you can use. And what you want to focus on is, this will just give you an idea basically of loads of different skills. But later in this course, in this video, we'll go through everything and it will pick the perfect skill for you using AI and also your input, obviously. So yeah, this just gives you an idea of the sort of skills. So you can have like video editing, podcast editing, graphic design, like Shopify store designer, landing page designer, content strategist, YouTube channel manager. We've got all the different types of ads. We've got funnel optimization. So when someone comes into a funnel, which is basically the people coming at the top of like the awareness of the business, and at the bottom they pay. So how can we get them from aware to actually paying as efficiently as possible? SEO, so like search engine optimization. So if someone goes on Google, how high do you rank on Google or other platforms? Email marketing. We've got high ticket closers. So that's basically sales. Appointment setters. That's people that message inside DMs or emails. So we've got all of these. You can go through all of these in your own time. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'm going to go through some of the most common ones. And as I said, you want to focus on the bleeding net problems. So I've kind of split these into 4 different areas of the kind of most common skills. We've kind of got the creative skills. So if you're more of a creative person, we've got like the person-facing skills. So these are like chatting to people on calls a lot, or chatting to, for example, influencers. We've got the systems. So these are more the back-end systems. If you're more of prefer to be behind the scenes, or analytical. So if you're a bit more like mathsy and prefer the analytical stuff, that kind of goes from there. So I'll just go through these quickly in terms of just some ideas. So creative skills, social media manager is a really good one. This is basically managing and posting content for brands to increase visibility, engagement, and essentially revenue. You really want to pitch it as helping them drive sales. Content strategist, so this might be less involved in terms of actually running their social media, but more giving advice and a full strategy for the company to then implement. Email marketing, so this is sending emails out for brand awareness and to get people to essentially buy the product or service. UGC creator, so this might be a brand gives you here, they might send me the creative and I make a video. They pay me to make a video, which they'll then use on their social media page. Photographer, videographer, that is very self-explanatory. With this, you want to really focus on how can you make this a recurring instead of a one-off. Person-facing skills, high-ticket closer. So this takes sales calls. They're typically on a commission only, usually 10 to 15%. So let's say they sold a 10 grand product, they then get paid $1,000 at 10%. Appointment setter. So what this is inside someone's Instagram usually, but also potentially like emails and like WhatsApp. They'll basically try and book these calls in. So take someone from interested to booking a call, and then this is where the high ticket closer takes over and actually converts it. Influencer marketing, so brand deals for influencers. Affiliate marketing, so this is also often working with influencers who then get commission for selling a product. Community manager, so this can be building like the brand and online communities. We've got system skills. So these could be like automated workflows that save businesses a lot of time. For example, someone inside the community now is working with recruitment businesses, and instead of people manually going through all the CVs, it basically scans the CVs and saves them a lot of time there. Chatbot builders, so if you go on a lot of websites now, you can speak to a chatbot to try and solve your problems. CRM setup, so this is basically tracking all the leads and sales pipelines. Automation specialist, like connecting different tools and saving businesses time. So a lot of these system ones are actually saving time and money. And like tech stack, like basically helping businesses with software. And finally, analytical. So we've got ad specialist. So these are running ad campaigns. So instead of organic content, which is just posted on social media, this is pay. So you pay to push the post forward, essentially. And in terms of ad specialist, it's analytical, but it's also quite creative as well because you have to make the ads yourself. Conversion rate, so improving websites and funnels to increase conversions. So the amount of people that come into the website to actually pay. So let's say it's 10%. If you can increase it to 20%, they're going to make a lot more money. SEO specialist, we've gone through this, how highly you rank on like Google, Safari and everything like that. Data analyst, just analyzing data. This could be like Google Analytics, etc. And analytics and reporting specialist. So they're just some examples. And what I'm trying to do here is give you loads of different ideas, loads of different thoughts in your head in terms of what might work for you, what might not work for you, because eventually down here we will have a lot of questions. And this is where we tie it all together and you're very clear on what service you're going to provide. But first of all, I just kind of want to give you that foundation of understanding, because you might join and not know. I know when I started online, I didn't even know what was possible. What could I provide? So that's why we're kind of going over this. So using and learning a skill. And you might say to me, I don't have any skills I can sell. And 99% of the time, this isn't true. Most people have learned something or done a job where they have some skill they can sell. Like for even me, before I was a plasterer, I worked in finance. That could be a skill. Like my accountant works online. My accountant has built a very big business working online. So it's not even necessarily marketing or creative or making money. It can be something as simple as being an accountant. Or even before that, I worked in football as a data analyst. Like that could be a remote job. It's just how you kind of package it up. So you've probably worked a job in the past or have some interest, or you've edited some videos before, or whatever that is, you probably do have some sort of skill set. And if you don't, if you genuinely think you don't have a skill set, or the skills that you do have you're not interested in and you don't want to build an agency around, you will still have interest in something where you can learn it in 30 to 60 days and start selling a service with it. For example, I was interested in social media. And this can be super niche. If you want to make 5 to 10K a month online and travel the world, you literally need 1 to 5 clients. And there's millions and millions of businesses out there. You just need 5 of them. And I was a plasterer. I learned the skill of organic content just through posting myself. So then I thought, okay, why can't I use my organic content skills and sell it to businesses? And that's basically how I built my agency. And since then, I've added more and more strings to my bow. I've learned more skill set. I've got better at content. I've learned ads. And there's so much information online that you can pretty much learn any skill online. I wouldn't even say pretty much. I think you can learn any skill online. For example, last year I started to learn AI, and it's all free information. That's all I did. And I learned a lot about AI. So the key is just to pick something you're interested in and solve a problem someone might have. The bigger problem you solve and quicker, the more you get paid. So it is really something you're interested in. If that goes with your experience and your natural attributes, amazing. But the main thing is interested in, because we don't want you hating it after a week. And don't let your beliefs limit you. You might have a lot of self-doubt now, and it's important to lean on the skills and abilities you already have, because it will speed up the process. But you will learn quickest and be willing to stick at something if you're genuinely interested in it. And the best skill to learn is the one you will stick with. Like, you might not have direct skills in social media, but you might be naturally creative. You might not have direct skills in sales, but you might naturally be good at chatting to people and you're naturally charismatic. You might not have direct experience in AI automation, but you're quite good with technology and you enjoy building things. So it doesn't have to be this direct skill set that you have now. It can just be your natural interests and attributes where you can kind of pick that skill. And the story I always tell is I've always been better at maths, like maths, business, finance, than I ever was at being creative. My dad was a maths teacher. I always did a lot better at maths than I did with like English and creative subjects. That just wasn't something that I was naturally good at. And I got told when I was at uni, don't apply for marketing jobs, you're more of a finance guy. You're not very creative. So I eventually went into finance. I didn't enjoy it, and that's why I quit. But eventually, because my interest was in being creative, I wanted to be creative. I wanted to go into social media. That took me so much further than finance ever would have been for me. Because I had that interest and I was going to work harder at it. And essentially, I've stuck at it for 5-6 years now. So go with your interest. As I said, if that aligns with your skills and your natural attributes, amazing. But if not, still go with your interest. So moral of the story, pick what you enjoy doing. And as I said, no, you don't need to be an expert. Sorry. You don't need to be an expert to sell a service. For me, I'm not very good at golf. I wouldn't then go to Tiger Woods to teach me golf. He's a 10 out of 10 with his golf ability. I wouldn't go to him to teach me golf. I could go to my local golf course, someone that maybe like a 4, 5 or 6 out of 10 in the grand scheme of things, and they'd be able to teach me so much because they understand where I'm at and they're still so much better than me. So you don't need to be a 10 out of 10 before you start selling a service. Like for me, there's no way I'd say I'm 10 out of 10 with social media. There's people so much better than me. No one's a 10 out of 10 realistically. There's always more you can learn. So if you're helping someone that is clueless with their social media, doesn't even post consistently, and you know a little bit about it, you know how to edit a video, you're going to provide so much value for them. So finally, finding the perfect skill for you. So within this sheet, I'll ask you a list of questions, and I want you to be as detailed as possible. Like, the AI is good, we've trained it, but it's only as good as your answers. If you give inaccurate or bad answers, it's not going to provide a very good response. But this will give you a much clearer understanding and will give you a trained AI prompt to help you pick the 3 best suitable skills based on your answers. So you can click here and it will take you to picking a skill assistance. And what you can do, file, make a copy, and you can make it your own copy so you can actually edit it. You can't edit this main one because obviously everyone will be using it. So I want you to go through all of these questions. And then at the bottom, we have this prompt, which you can put into ChatGPT. So you copy this prompt and you just insert your answers here. And then you can paste it into ChatGPT and it will come out with their answer. But yeah, I'll kind of show you the process here. So what do you currently do for work and what are your day-to-day tasks? And at the moment, ignore whether you enjoy your job or not. That's later on where you can say, by the way, I hate this job. Or by the way, I hate doing these skills or these tasks. And that will really kind of impact the answers. So what do you currently do for work? What have you done previously in any environment? So this might be, I helped my dad with some social media stuff, or I used to work in finance for a little bit, or whatever that is. I've done some face-to-face sales through door-to-door work. Whatever that is, just mention anything that comes into your head through that. What tools or softwares do you use? Are you comfortable using Excel? Are you comfortable using Canva, Premiere Pro, Notion? What have you used? What tasks have you done before that feel easier for you than most people? Or also interested. What skills do you find interesting that other people might find boring? Like for me, I quite like playing about with numbers and setting up like systems where someone books in a call, then it pulls through the other end. Like I quite enjoy that. Whereas a lot of people would find that boring using Excel. Like I enjoy using Excel. So that's something that you could write. Do you love doing branding? Do you love analyzing social media videos? Do you love just being behind the scenes, doing all the systems with Excel and AI systems? Is that something you could see yourself doing? So what tasks have you done that you think you'd love a lot more, or you've done before and you love a lot more and find easier than other people? What attributes or traits do you naturally have? And be generous to yourself. I know a lot of people are like, especially if you're from the UK watching this, we're very pessimistic and we're very negative about ourselves. Of like, I'm not good at anything. Like, I promise you, you will be. So just think, are you naturally creative? Are you pretty organised in your life? Are you naturally quite persuasive or charismatic, or do you find it really easy to chat to new people? Or are you really focused when building a system? Whatever that is, what sort of attributes or traits do you have? What attributes and traits that other people say you have? When working or in everyday life, have you noticed any problems that businesses or people have? And this could be a tough one to answer depending on what your job is, but you might notice inside my business, I think like inside a certain market, you might work in like interior design and be like, the social media is really bad. They've got no one doing social media. They're just asking random people in the company to do it. And I don't think they're getting any sales through it. That's like a problem that you can see. Or in my job, like they've literally implemented no AI and I'm doing these repetitive tasks that are taking me ages where AI could do it. Like stuff like that is so useful because you spotted a problem inside an industry, which is then essentially you can then provide a service for. Are there any online skills or services you've seen that interest you? So all the ones I went through earlier, was there any like, the social media management sounds quite interesting, or ads is something that is creative and analytical. I quite like the sound of that. Is there any that you're interested in or might be interested in or you've seen online? What do you want your day-to-day work to mainly involve and look like? Would you rather be behind the scenes on your laptop all day, not all day, but like when you're working, building systems, building spreadsheets, everything like that, like analyzing data? Or would you rather it be really creative and you're trying to think of new ideas and new direction for a business? Or do you want to be chatting to people on calls and messaging people? How is it that you want your day-to-day to run? And then finally, any work you strongly dislike or refuse to do. So now is really important, because otherwise it might pull through something you've previously done, but you didn't actually like. For me, like, I've done finance before, so I might have mentioned earlier, I've done finance, I know how to do spreadsheets and everything like that. But here I could write, actually I hated finance, by the way, and I refuse to do it. So anything that you don't enjoy, or do you not want to be speaking to people? And when you do this, do stuff you dislike, not stuff that makes you feel uncomfortable. For example, sales calls might make you feel uncomfortable, but you don't necessarily dislike them, if you get what I mean. But it's something that, yeah, just put whatever you dislike, but do it more out of actual dislike rather than fear. Because if you got more confident, you might quite like have day-to-day chatting to the occasional person rather than only be on your laptop. So yeah, anything you just dislike, anything that pops into your head. And then what you want to do is copy this whole section into ChatGPT and paste it in. So I did one earlier, you want to go in a lot more detail than this. I just did a really quick example, just so I had something to paste in here. So I pasted this in, I put in my answers here, like I worked in the interior design industry, made proposals and pitch decks, and I pasted all this in. And what this does is now come out with some answers. So here is what is recommended for me. Social media management, this wasn't based on me, by the way, I made it up. Social media management, so why this suits me, I've had some light experience in social media branding and pitch decks, you're creative, you've used Canva before. Day-to-day agency, how would this kind of look day-to-day? So it's creative, client-facing and system-based. What bleeding net problem can this solve? Drive awareness, inbound leads and sales conversions. What do I need to learn to kind of get started with this? Short form video editing, this is another thing that's suggested. All the same stuff related to that. And then paid social ads, so potentially paid ads as well. Final recommendation, ranking it best to worst. And if I was you, I'd choose social media management. So this is still up to you. Like, these are some examples. You can then, if you want, look online and be like, okay, let's have a little bit, I don't understand ads fully, let's look a bit more into that and see what it entails compared to social media management. But it should give you 3 very clear ideas in terms of the answers that you have given it. So look through these, and if they suit you, be like, okay, I quite like the look of number 1, social media management. That is a skill that I'm going to lock in for the time being. And as I say, you're not stuck in this forever and ever. You're not stuck in it for the next 20 years, but it's something that you want to focus on for the next 6 to 12 months at least, and be like, okay, social media management, that is the skill and service that I want to provide. And next we'll go on to the market. What market can we basically provide this service in? Who has a clear problem that I can solve? And what obvious outcome can I give them? So yeah, this video should have given you a really, really clear understanding on what service you want to provide. If you came into the video already having a service, that's great. Hopefully this clears things up and also gives you a clear direction in terms of how you can market this as well. But we go into that in a lot more detail in the offer section of the course. Now it's really just about, okay, I know the type of agency I want to build now. Social media management, or it could be ads, or it could be closing, or it could be appointment setting. Whatever that is, you should come away from this video with a much clearer idea with the agency that you want to build. But yeah, I'll see you on the next video, and yeah, perfect. Hello and welcome to how to pick a niche. So you should have watched the previous video of how to pick a skill and a service. If you've not watched that, go back and watch that, and also use the AI prompt to obviously help pick your skill set. It will give you 3 options and you can go from there into this video, or you might have come into the program with a clear idea of kind of the skill and service you want to offer. But this video is still really, really important in terms of placing that service inside the right niche. So yeah, let's kick off straight away. So
A niche is just a section of a market or industry for your product or service. So that could be paid ads in the health and wellness niche, or AI automation for service-based companies, or social media for travel companies. And as I mentioned, you should have picked your skill and service by now. And now we need to find a niche to sell this service to. So I'm going to explain why this is important to have a niche, but the main two things to note. First off, a niche doesn't have to be a particular industry. It doesn't have to be the travel industry or the health and wellness industry or the gym industry. It does not have to be a particular industry. Your niche could be your service or a certain type of business. The whole idea with creating a niche is we just want someone to target. We don't want to say we target every business in the world. We want someone to target. And I'll go into that in more detail why that's important. But like, you could specialize in AI automation for cold outreach. Someone that I used to work with, that is what he did. AI automation for cold outreach. So kind of his service was his niche. And also, like, it's not a particular industry, but he's niching down into companies that generate most of their leads through cold outreach, and he's helping with that service. So he's not helping like restaurants, he's not helping like retail stores, he's helping a certain set of businesses, and that is what a niche is. And it's important to have a niche, but early on, don't put yourself under too much pressure. Like, it's okay to try a few different niches at the start, and if you pick a niche that you are unsure about, you're not stuck with it for life. You might change it 6 to 12 months, and that's okay. What we do at the start is pick like 1 to 3 niches, and then we can have a chat and really understand which niche would work best for you and your service. But it's not like a 9 to 5 where you're now stuck in it for the next 10, 20 years. So why actually do you need a niche? Because a lot of people think that, okay, if I'm only targeting a certain set of companies, I'm just limiting my market, surely. But the problem is, you hear this saying, a jack of all trades is a master of none. And that's what you become, because how can you target your marketing? How can you target your outreach? How can you target your offer if you're trying to hit absolutely everyone? So by picking one niche, you grow to understand them better. And it allows you to clearly define your ICP. So your ICP is your ideal client profile. So essentially, just what sort of characteristics does your ideal client have? And we'll go into this in more detail as well. But like, for me, social media for the health and wellness industry, I want companies that typically between 1 and 20, 30 employees. I want them at a certain revenue level that they can actually invest in social media. I want them a certain product. Like, you can really narrow this down so that when I'm doing my marketing, when I'm doing my scripting for my outreach, it is very targeted to that specific ICP. And it allows, by picking one niche and really focusing down, it allows you to understand their pain points and dream outcomes better. So you really understand what your client, what their typical situation is, what they're struggling with, and what's their dream situation, where do they want to get to. And by understanding this, it means you can create better outreach approaches specific to them, which obviously means you get a better booking rate, more people booking in. You create content that attracts them, so you get people approaching you. You create a better pitch and offer really suited and dialed in for them. So instead of just like, we help businesses with social media, so that's not very helpful. Whereas if you can get more targeted, okay, we help health and wellness businesses create a lead machine through organic content, then they're like, okay, that's a lot more specific. That service is perfect for me. You can close them easier on sales calls because you know their pain points and their dream outcomes, and you know how to solve their problems as the same problems pop up. If you are working with loads of different businesses, loads of different niches, it's a really hard business to scale because you're constantly dealing with different problems. You're constantly providing a different service. And I mentioned that ICP earlier. And I'm going to give you a few examples and also why it's important. So obviously we have ICPs for agencies, but you see them everywhere. For example, like Joe Wicks as a PT, he's very targeted to like mums that want to lose weight, like in their living room. So what he can do there, instead of saying, here's how to get fit, yeah, it's okay marketing, but it's not very specific. With your marketing, with your outreach, you want it to feel like it's made for that person. You want them to read that email, to see that piece of content and be like, shit, I'm in that exact situation. This person knows my problem and they also know how to solve this problem. So with Joe Wicks, he's very targeted to home workouts. If you don't have time, if you're busy in life, this is what you should do, a quick half an hour workout. And what he does then is really target his ICP. They watch that video, for example, and also his offers with his programs, and they think, shit, this is specifically for me. I don't know if any of you remember Yorkies. It's a little chocolate bar in the UK mainly, I think. And their whole slogan at the start is, it's not for girls. So even that, like, they've chosen an ICP. They are targeting men. And it kind of, it went into their marketing of, oh, it's not for girls. So even like companies like that have an ICP. They did eventually create one for girls, which is a fruit and nut one. But yeah, that's a bit of a tangent. Ryanair, they are focusing on cheap travel. They do not target people with a lot of money. They don't target people that want a luxury experience. They don't have business class. They don't have anything like that. They will get you from point A to B as cheaply as possible. And that is their marketing. That is all of their marketing that they're targeting towards. And again, it means they can really understand who they're targeting with their marketing, with their offer, with their sales. They can really, really target these people. And the people that don't want that, if they want luxury, that's fine. The market is big enough for these people that want cheap travel. Same with something like IKEA. It's price over convenience. They're a nightmare to put together, but they're targeting people that, yeah, are going for the price factor. That you can get a cheap wardrobe, you can get a cheap table. Like, that is what they're targeting. And it means that people, it feels like it's made for them. It's other ones like Audi compared to Waitrose, like who they're targeting, their marketing is very different. So the reason I'm going into this is this allows them to really focus their offers, their marketing and their sales targeted to a specific audience. And we want to do the same with your niche and therefore your offer. Who do you help, but also who do you not help? I think that is really, really important, because you want people reading your offer, reading about your service and your strategy and thinking, shit, they understand me. This is exactly for me. If they understand me, they know exactly what my problem is. Therefore, they know exactly how to solve it. That's how we want them to feel. So that is what we're doing. This is why we're picking a niche. And also, this is depth of knowledge and this is time. At the start, you might not know much about your niche and like how to actually solve their problems with your service. You might be up here. And over time, working with clients, you slowly start to learn more. Suddenly, you get down here with the depth of knowledge, and then you can solve really specific problems. You can solve really painful problems. And with that, you then get paid more. And also, you can solve the problems quicker. But this is with certain niches. The problem is, if you get here and then you switch niche because you see one that might be easier, like shiny object syndrome, you're just constantly up here and you're solving shallow problems. It takes you ages to solve them because they're all different, which is why we want the depth of knowledge to be down here, because people pay for more speed and solving the most important, most painful problems. So by going deep in one service and niche, you learn how to solve the painful problems, solve them better and more quickly, therefore you get paid more. And you become a bit of an authority within the space. You can show companies other testimonials that are very similar to them. And also, I said, it's a lot easier to scale because you're saving time and energy. You've got one offer, one call to action, one contract, one website, one Calendly link, one outreach script. All of these things you've got one of. Whereas if you're targeting travel, health and wellness, finance, accountants, you've got a different script for all of them. You've got a different call to action. The website doesn't make sense. The contract, you need a different one. it just makes it really, really hard to scalable. It makes you so slow and unscalable. And trust me, I've been there. I've tried to work with a lot of different clients, and it is tough. So by going deeper into one niche's problem, solving a huge problem for them in an efficient manner, you will be able to charge and earn a lot more than constantly solving surface level problems. So the reason I'm really drilling this in is because it is really important. And you may think the bigger the market, the wider your cash in net, the more success you'll have. However, you want to be an efficient business that is easy to run and you actually have time to enjoy your success. A lot of you here will be running this business because you want freedom, you want to travel. We do not want to make this business really hard to run. We want to make an efficient system that we can outsource some parts, that we can do the task. We really know the business inside out. We know our clients inside out. We don't want to make this a really, really tough business to run. And also you might think, yeah, well, the bigger the market, the easier. It's just not the case. And like 50 clients at 2K a month is 1.2 mil a year. And I know you're definitely not targeting 50 clients to start with, unless you're doing really, really well. But yeah, pretty much every niche in the world has at least 50 people in. You don't need to target all 7 billion people to get 50 clients. Obviously, we don't want to target miniature niches where there's only 100 people in it. But like, that's what I'm trying to drill in. That all you need is 50 clients to do 1.2 mil a year. And obviously 50 clients is a lot, but even let's say 3 clients, you're doing 6K a month working online. 3 clients, 3. You do not need to target every single business. Next is, this is painkiller versus vitamin. So when we're picking a niche, we really want to think about this. And this is more of an offer. So after this video, we go into the offer and how to create an offer for using your service in your niche. So don't worry about this too much now. I'll go over it again in more detail in the offer section. But I just want you to be aware of it. When you're picking your niche, I just want you to be aware of kind of the terms that I'm using and also how to position yourself within a certain niche. So when positioning your service in a niche, you want to target one that has a bleeding neck problem. And what I mean by a bleeding neck problem is it urgently needs fixing. This means they need to fix it instantly or are willing to pay more to get it solved. And what I mean by this is terms of, let's say you broke your leg. If you broke your leg and someone came to you like, you need to pay $5,000, otherwise you're not going to hospital, like, you'd be like, please take me, it's so painful, I won't be able to walk again if I don't get it fixed, take me to hospital, I'm willing to pay whatever. Like, think about that. That is the sort of problem we want. We want the business equivalent of that. Whereas, let's say you cut your finger, it's like, oh, yeah, it hurts a little bit. It'll probably solve itself. It's not bothering me too much. Like, yeah, if someone said they'll give me a plaster and fix it for £5, yeah, I'd do it. But I'm not that bothered, to be honest. I can live with that. Like, if it could be fixed, it'd be nice, but it doesn't really matter. That is a problem that we don't want. We don't want a problem that a business has that is just kind of like, yeah, it'd be nice if we fix it, but yeah, it's not a problem. It's not going to change our business. We're not in that much pain from it. So that is why what we mean by like a bleeding neck problem. And these are just examples, by the way, not like specific to the industries. But there might be like travel tour companies not generating any sales at all through social media, and the business will go bankrupt if they do not fix it in the next 3 months, let's say. That is a bleeding neck problem. That they come to you like, shit, I need help, we need leads, we need sales, otherwise our business is going bankrupt. Or accounting company costs are way too high that if they do not cut them down with AI, they'll go bankrupt, they'll go under. Like, that is another bleeding neck problem of, shit, we are spending out too much every single month, we need to fix this. And this is why it's so important when positioning your service in the right industry. It's called like the painkiller versus the vitamin. So yeah, with the vitamins, it's not urgent. It's a nice to have. If you can take magnesium before you go to sleep, yeah, it's nice, but I could live without it. And what this means is you're constantly convincing companies they need it. You're constantly convincing companies that they need your service. Whereas with the painkiller, it's urgent. Companies need it, and they're actively looking for someone to solve this problem. They're looking out for someone that can solve their sales problem, or solve their cost problem, or solve their inefficiency problem. And we want to make sure how to get a painkiller offer. And this is mainly through positioning and also our offer. But I just wanted you to be aware of this. And in terms of like vitamin versus painkiller, vitamin, a lot of them, it is a lot positioning. But you see stuff like branding, like brand logo. If someone's like, oh, I'm a logo designer, it's like, it's a nice to have. It's, yeah, businesses will get it done, but it's not like an urgent thing. I imagine that sort of service, they kick it down the road, kick the can down the road a lot. I'm like, oh, we'll do it next month. Oh, we'll do it in 6 months' time. It's not urgent. Whereas if someone's got like a sales problem and you come in and they're like, okay, we're going to go bankrupt if we do not increase our close rate, we need a better sales system. That is like a real painkiller. As I said, we'll really dive into this in the offer section, but I just want you to make sure that you're kind of aware of this. So how do you actually select a niche? So I'm going to create a checklist for a good niche. One, you want to enjoy or have at least some interest in the niche to some degree. Something that you're interested in, you're happy to research into, and also you enjoy chatting to clients about. So for me, that's like health and wellness, travel, and even like a few other interests. But it doesn't need to be, obviously you want to be interested in it. But if you enjoy your service a bit and then you enjoy your niche a bit, that's going to feel nice, and you're living out in Bali or something. Like it doesn't need to be like absolute passion that you absolutely love. But if you enjoy the service to some degree, enjoy the niche to some degree, you're going to enjoy the work because you're building your own thing as well. Obviously, if you absolutely love it, the better it is. But yeah, just make sure you have some sort of interest and you enjoy chatting to those sort of people as well. Like my clients, like they're in the health and wellness niche, they're healthy, they run. Like I can chat to them on a call, like someone that you just think of, like the founders you're potentially working with. Could you have a beer with them? Like, could you have a beer and a decent chat with them? The niche has a big or urgent problem you can solve, so you can position yourself as a painkiller, not vitamin. And the AI prompt will really help you with this. Like I've trained it that it looks for companies and industries that have a big problem. The niche is a growing market. This one is really important. We want to avoid shrinking markets, as it just makes it harder as we're going against the tide, and ultimately the industry might not exist in like 10, 20 years. For example, newspapers is like a classic one. Do not get in that industry because you're just constantly, the industry's going like that and you're trying to grow these businesses, but it's just a natural downward trend. So just make sure it's a growing industry. The niche has buying power. You want to make sure the niche is relatively wealthy, businesses have money to invest. You don't want to be working in niches that are broke, essentially, which could be like if you're targeting like students or anything around that world, or just naturally, do you know what I mean? Like little, I don't know why I thought of this, but like little retail stores, like, do you know they're just like one person ran little retail stores and they might sell like handmade soap or something? They're just not going to have much money to invest. It doesn't mean you can't go into retail, but like the really, really small ones, it's something they're just not going to have much buying power. And finally, the niche is easy to get in contact with. This helps a lot with outreach and also inbound marketing. Just make sure they're reasonably easy people that check their emails or check their Instagram DMs or check their LinkedIn DMs. They also go a bit on social media, so if you post content, they can see that as well. So yeah, that is a thing to consider as well. And one thing I just want to note, importantly, is don't get caught with shiny object syndrome. And this is not the case as much at the start, But once you've started your niche, just don't. It's so easy to want to swap niche every couple of weeks because someone you know has made a lot of money in it, especially in Bali. I'll hear someone be like, oh yeah, I'm in the real estate niche for social media and yeah, I'm doing 50k months. It's so easy to be like, oh fuck, like that must be an easy niche. There's so much money in it. Shit, I could swap. But as I said, with the depth of knowledge, you're just starting from zero, not complete zero, but you're starting from a tougher point. And every niche has its problems. Every niche, there's not one niche that is like a perfect niche. There can be a really good niche for you, but like there is millions of pounds available in pretty much every industry imaginable. But you'll never do anything in a niche if you're constantly hopping between niches. Like you could name any industry and there'll be £1 million agencies in that industry. Even like chairs, there'll be someone that is running social media or ads for chair companies that has a massive agency. Like, so don't just get caught up with shiny object syndrome. Effort compounds, learning about the niche compounds. All of this is constantly compounding. But if you keep switching, you kind of lose some of that momentum. And every time you swap, you have to learn new niche problems, ways of outreach into them, changing your offer, onboarding process. As I mentioned, it's okay at the start to test a few. And as long as it ticks the boxes of this checklist, the niche will be a good one. And the best niche is the one that you have a good understanding of and the one that you have worked in. Like everyone that I know, I've met recently some like 8-figure entrepreneurs. What I've learned from them is they've just stuck in the game long. Like I've got a mentor as well at the moment. He's done podcasting for 5 years, and that's why he's grown a $500,000 a month agency. There's another guy that I met who's done like $18 million online, and he has just been in the info space the whole time. And it's just stacking knowledge. They didn't constantly get shiny object syndrome swapping. As I said, there's different types of niches. There could be particular industries, health and wellness, gyms, travel, tech companies, SaaS companies. SaaS is software as a service. Different types of businesses. You could have B2B, businesses that do cold outreach, service-based businesses. Or you can just solve a particular problem which is across niches. So like AI automation for content creation. That is niche enough still. Cold emailing system for 6 to 8 figure companies. LinkedIn growth for personal brands. So they're not like targeted industries, but they're still specific in terms of the strategy and the type of thing you're helping with. So yeah, this is all the information you need to now go into actually selecting your perfect niche. So what we'll do is use this AI selection assistance workbook, and there's no right or wrong answers. Just do what you think is right with the questions and then use the prompt to find the perfect niche for you and your service. So what you can do is click on this, it will take you here. And what you want to do is click File, make a copy, and make your own copy. You can put your name there if you want, and it will make it into an editable sheet. So the questions are, what service are you planning to offer? If you came into the program with a clear service, you can put that in there. If you did the AI prompt for how to pick a skill and one of them really stood out for you, that you're like, I want to do that, put that in. If you're still unsure between 2 or 3 of them, post in the 2 or 3 of them. You can post in all the information. What jobs have you had before and what industries were they in? Just list your past jobs. So for me, I worked in finance, I worked in travel, I worked as a waiter. Just list a few things. What industries do you have a decent understanding of? Because of family, friends, hobbies, interest, or you buy it regularly. So like you might just buy a lot of fashion and you're constantly looking at fashion stuff. So you might have a decent interest in that and decent understanding. Like for me, like I'm not into cycling, but my dad owns a cycling business. So I know a decent amount about the industry, more than the average person who's not into cycling. Hobbies, interests. So just, as I said, there's no right or wrong answers. You just want to give as much detail as possible, because the more detail you give it, the more specific it'll be for your situation. Have you ever worked in or noticed a business that had problems you could potentially solve with your service? So list anything that comes to mind. It could even be just with a business you think might struggle in a certain area. Like you might have worked in like the finance industry and they're still typing everything up in Excel spreadsheets. So you think, oh, that could be used for AI automation there. Or you might have just come across the business in the fashion industry and you looked at their social media and you think that is shit. And you can be like, oh, I don't think some companies in the fashion industry have good social media. Whatever that is, just anything you notice, no worries if you can't think of anything here, but just anything you notice. What type of businesses do you find interesting? Like, what do you naturally buy from, read about, watch videos about, naturally interested in? Who do you follow on social media? That's a really good one. What do you watch on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram? Do you watch like travel videos, sport videos, fashion, food? What do you spend your money on regularly? This gives you a good understanding of industries as well. If you had to pick 1 to 3 types of businesses for the next 2 years, what would you pick? Which industry do you think you would still be interested in 2 years? So just list a few ideas there. You can do more than 3 if you want. List any industries you've thought about working with, potentially in the past or now. Which industries do you think your service would be best placed and suit you? So if you can come with, obviously the AI prompt will help you with all this, and if you miss out a question, it's fine, it will still work. But just try and give it as much information as possible. So just list any industries you've thought about working with. And it might be similar to question 8. List any business you think might need your service. So like social media, I could be like, I think accountants need my service. Doesn't necessarily mean I want to work in that industry. And the AI prompt will pick up that I'm probably not interested in it. But it's still like, okay, I think accountants, I know my accountant does good social media, but most don't. So there is potential there. And based on everything above, list 5 industries you feel drawn towards, even if you don't know why. And then what we can do, once you answer those, if you miss a few out, that's fine. But just try and do your best. Take the AI prompt and insert all the questions below. So what you want to do is copy all of this. And this yellow section is where you put all the answers in. So what you do is copy this and where is it? Insert answers here. So here's one I prepared earlier. It's carrying on from the example I did in how to pick a niche, how to pick a skill. So what you can now do is just copy all of this. So I posted in the 3 examples: short form, content, social media management, and paid social ads. So I just copied that from the last AI prompt. And then I just did like, I worked in hospitality, worked in, so you want to give more detail on all of this. I just did this a lot quicker. And you want to paste it in there and then go. And what this does, it should give you an idea of different sort of niches. So niche 1, independent interior design studios. What's that urgent problem? Most interior designs rely almost entirely on referrals. So social media is inconsistent, outdated, and run by a junior staff member. This makes them invisible to new homeowners, developers actively searching online. Why their service solves it. So this is how you can use your service to solve it. Why would this niche work well? They've got money. Social media, 1 client a month would be enough to pay for the service many times over. Why is this fit for this specific person? And the position angle. I help interior design studios turn their portfolio into consistent inbound client inquiries using lead-focused social media. Bang. But that's what I mean about ICP. So instead of I help businesses with social media, how much more focused is this? If you were an interior design studio and you saw some content or you saw an outreach on Instagram, LinkedIn, email, and they say, I help interior design studios turn their portfolio into consistent inbound client inquiries using lead-focused social media, I'd be like, shit, that's exactly what I need. And you're more likely to get on a call and get clients. Niche 2, founder-led boutique fashion brands. And final one, like boutique gyms and fitness studios. So you can see the different, it goes through all the important information. Why these niches work. These are the painkiller niches because if attention stops, revenue drops. Each niche has 30k businesses globally, so that's good for outreach. Final recommendation, start with this one. So this gives you a really, really good idea. So now you should have at least, well, between 1 to 3 skills or services you're thinking about, and you should also now have 1 to 3 niches you're thinking about. And it even gives you, as I said, so for this person, they recommended social media management, and also they recommended independent interior design studios. And this is sort of helping with the offer. Like, what sort of offer would they provide? And this is really, really useful. So yeah, you should be at the point now where you've got your services, you've got your niche. You might have a few ideas floating about where you've not nailed down to one, but that is completely fine. That's something we can chat about personally. And now, but if you can, if it's not, as I said, you're not stuck in this forever. Like, you're not. So I'd make a decision based off of just what feels right. And also what sounds good with the positioning angle as well. But yeah, now what we'll go into is really understanding your niche and also your ICP, and then into your offer. And this is really, really important in terms of creating a painkiller offer. So yeah, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you on the next one.